Hey there, welcome back to the Trimetric Roadmap, the podcast for business owners who want more than just survival. I'm your host, Scott Landis. So today's episode is a bit of a throwback. It was recorded back in late 2024, and until now, it's been sitting in the vault. To be honest, I didn't expect to wait this long to release it, but sometimes life and business have a way of pulling your focus elsewhere. That said, revisiting this conversation recently, I realized it's exactly the kind of message that needs to be heard right now. We're kicking off a short, unvaulted series, a few powerful interviews from a transitional season that helped shape everything we've built since. If you've been following us, you know the landscape's evolved. My book, Balancing Act, is out. Our frameworks have matured and the mission has sharpened. But what you're about to hear is part of the DNA that brought it all to life. My guest today is Brett Snodgrass, real estate entrepreneur, men's ministry leader, and the author of The Secret War Within, a raw and beautifully written allegory that explores the inner battles many high-achieving men face but rarely talk about. What I love about this conversation and what that you're about to hear and what makes it so timely is how deeply Brett taps into the hidden layers of success, identity, and spiritual wholeness. It's less about performance and more about patterns underneath, the internal war we fight between doing more and being known. As you listen, notice how Brett's story touches on the quiet exhaustion that can show up even when everything looks great on the outside. Also, pay attention to the way he talks about brotherhood, clarity, and the kind of transformation that doesn't happen in a conference room, but around a fire in the mountains and stripped of ego. And maybe even ask yourself, where in my life or business am I operating out of pressure instead of peace? This one's not about tactics or tools, it's about alignment, about creating space for the kind of growth that can't be faked and the kind of freedom that lasts. Check out this episode. Welcome to the Awaken Life podcast with Scott Landis. And today my guest is a returning guest. I think might be the first returning guest, actually, Brett Snodgrass. Where it all started when things started looking up for me is around the same time, and there's a correlation, maybe even causation, with having Brett Snodgrass on the show the first time about a year or so ago, a little more than that, about 18 months ago, probably.
Yeah.
And so anyways, we got Brett Snodgrass here. He is the founder and leader of Iron Deep, a men's group, the Men's Awakening, which I've been to, and the author of The Secret War Within. This is definitely the coolest intro I've ever been able to say on the Awaken Life podcast. Yeah, and there's the book. If you're watching the video, hold it up again, Brett.
Yeah. Here we go.
Who designed that? That's a hot design right there.
Yes. This is man, I got such a great team behind. I came up with a lot of the creativity and then someone artistically put it together. So it's kind of like a wolf paw slash just the messiness. The secret war within, man. The men, what we have, the secrets within each in the battles each day. So there you go.
Yeah.
Happy to be here, Scott. Thanks for having me, man.
It looks a little dark. Wolf paw. It looks a little dark and a little mysterious and a little, it's a little scary. What is going on within the men? That secret war within the men. This is a book for men. I've read the book. I love the book. Full-heartedly recommend the book. It's an easy read, a great read. It's done in story form, but you're going to learn so much and take away so much. Also, the Men's Awakening Retreat. I got to go last year. It's been happening a few times. We'll talk about all this. The Iron Deep podcast. Also, you're a real estate investor.
I am.
There's
on the high.
You're just involved everywhere.
Yeah. Real estate, it's a hobby. Yeah. No, been doing real estate. Yeah. 17, 18 years. It's been quite the ride, man. Been able to do some flips, few thousand or so, and rentals, and a lot of creative financing stuff. It's been fun. It's been, our creative. It's just been fun, man. And the book, men's ministry, life's good. Life's good. So yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for having me on, Scott. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I think last time we talked mostly about the real estate business and maybe a little bit about the awakening retreat that was um, yet to come. So
Mm-hmm.
fast forward to today,
Mm-hmm.
a lot's been going on. So catch us up. Anybody listening, go back and listen to the first Brett Snodgrass podcast again about 18 months ago, season 3. We're on season 4 now, I think. But yeah, what's been going on in the last 18 months? Not a lot. Or has it been a lot? I mean, it feels like, has it been 18 months or like 10 years, right, Brett?
Yeah. Yes. No, a lot's been going on, honestly. So yeah, the book's obviously a piece of that. I spent that was about an 18-month, 20-month journey. So probably I started writing around the when I was on the first podcast with you. That's such an amazing journey. I would just highly recommend anyone that has a book in their hearts just to really take the risk and put it out there, take the plunge. It's such just an amazing journey, creativity, quietness, getting into your inner thought life. Mine was a Christian faith-based book for men, and it's a gritty, you mentioned the dark. It's probably PG-13 slash, it's a raw, honest, truthful book. Really just, and it's an allegory form, which really talks about Nolan Banks, which probably has some resemblance of my life. He's not me, but he has some resemblance. Successful real estate developer, achievement, success, waterfront home, beautiful family, but kind of has this emptiness inside. And you get to see just the inner battle that he has within himself. You get to see his thoughts, his heart, his feelings. He's going through some secret war, right, within himself, and he doesn't know how to find fulfillment, to have peace in his life, and kind of that's where the book starts on his adventure, his journey of finding himself and finding just honestly at the end of the day Christ and God, and that's the journey he goes on. So it was a fun journey. So that's been happening. Iron Deep again. Yeah, we've been putting this men's community together of business owners and business leaders. We've had a few events called the Men's Awakenings. We're putting together this community. I just think it's much needed. Obviously, there's other communities out there, and you have an amazing community. It's much needed for us to get together, to sharpen each other, and just to raise up leaders. We all need to be encouraged. There can never be enough of that,
Mm,
right? I just think we need
mhm,
more of it. We need more encouragement. We need more celebrating each other. We just need more togetherness. We live in a very selfish, isolated culture, and everything that we do goes against that grain. So we have to fight for that. We have to fight to be together and fight to celebrate each other because no one else is going to at the end of the day.
mm. Yeah,
So
love it. Well, in that note, I'm wearing one of my many Iron Deep
there you go.
paraphernalia. I've got my Iron Sharpens Iron Deep bracelet on, and I've got a few things. Actually, earlier this morning, I was working out in an Iron Deep t-shirt. So I'm definitely all in and a fan
Nice.
of Iron Deep and the men. I mean, just like everything you just said, I mean, so resonates with, I think, me, what I put out there. My audience is going to hear that and be like, oh yeah, this
Mm,
is such a good fit for this podcast. And okay, so we'll jump around a little bit, but let's go back to the book because you talked about the book a little bit,
yeah.
and then I want to go back to it. So, my experience reading the book, I compared it to I had a similar experience, profound experience reading The Shack. I
Hmm.
love the book The Shack. Some people are fans, some people don't quite get it or whatever.
Hmm.
But I
Hmm.
thought it was a great book. It read that I read that in like 2009 or 10, probably
Hmm.
9, and
Hmm.
it just like impacted me. You read a book like that and you don't feel like you're the same person after you read it. And that's how
Hmm.
I felt with The Secret War Within.
Mm.
Has anybody mentioned that to you before? Am I the only one who said that, or is that a common experience?
Yeah, no, it's actually been so the book came out just recently. I'm not sure when this actually come out, but about a month or so ago. And you don't know
Hmm.
what the response is going to be like, honestly. First time ever
Hmm.
writing a book, you kind of bare your soul. You sit in your closet or your inner chambers of your home for 18 months, kind of slaving away, not knowing how anyone's going to respond to this particular book. I could have
Hmm.
wrote a book that was very fit for a guy like me, how to run a business or scale a business or make $1 million or how to flip a bunch of real estate deals. Could have done that. And a lot of people have done that before, right?
Hmm.
Could have did a more of a nonfiction Christian book and told my story and, put some biblical principles in there and done that. It's been done before. I kind of went a different way, took a risk. Number one, many guys like us, we don't
Hmm.
read fiction books. So that's number one, right? I mean, I'm
Hmm.
writing a book for
Yeah.
myself or for this genre that don't read fiction. So number one, that's risk number one. But I love, again, The Shack resonated with me too. I read that probably 12, 15 years ago, something like that. The Narnia series, C.S. Lewis, I'm a big fan of him. He resonated with me and he wrote his books in that fictional allegory sort of setting. So this is, I want to write more of a modern day story. And instead of telling my story, I wanted to bring people into the story and so they can kind of read it like they're watching a movie. I mean, some people, they watch a movie, you get kind of plugged in, and then the movie's over, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, where'd the time go?" I was so entrenched
Hmm.
in that movie, and really, that's the way I wanted to write it, to create it, to design it. And I'm glad that you resonated with it. The response has been overwhelming. I mean, honestly, the response has been like, "Wow, I can't." Um, believe that people are really resonating with the book. They say, "Oh my gosh,
Hmm.
how did you know? I put myself into the story. I did the
Hmm.
same thing that Nolan's going through." Um, so I think it's really resonated with men, especially in women too, but mostly men. That it kind of pulls back the curtain. And again, the secret war within it goes into the depths of this man's heart and his soul, and you get to see him do things that that guys struggle with, they don't really talk about, but instead of
Hmm.
me saying, "Hey, I struggle with this," you get to see him actually struggling and you get to
Hmm.
see what he's actually going through. And I think that's why guys resonate with it.
Hmm.
And I also just want to bring back, like, one of the things I wanted to really do was bring back that childlike wonder. I think as men, we
Hmm.
lose that
Yeah.
somewhere along the way. And so I wanted to bring just some of that back. He gets to this location. We try to vividly capture the scenery, all the things going around him. And so you can just kind of, like, again, take yourself with him, walking with him, and just to
Hmm.
capture in that childlike wonder, I
Hmm.
think that we lose. So I think maybe some of the men resonate because it brings them back to some of their boyhood at
Hmm.
certain pieces. And yeah, so definitely the response has been overwhelming. I appreciate you saying that, and it's just been awesome. So, like, you put so much work and you just don't know the
Hmm.
response. And when this response is positive, you're like, wow, this could
Yeah.
actually really impact people's lives. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I think whenever anybody who can relate to putting something out creative from your soul, and that feels risky, and when it, you know, gets well received, I mean, that's amazing feeling,
Mm.
right?
Yeah. And the book is
Um
something cool too, that, like, it's just a large project, and
mm,
it's an evergreen project. It's something that'll be
mhm,
out there for years to come, right? That's why
mhm,
it's a really cool legacy piece too. I can give it to my
mm,
kids, grandkids, and someone
yeah.
can read it way along in generations to come and impact someone's life. So yeah, it's a very cool experience. And then now I
Mhm.
get to just talk about it. So it's
Sure.
it's just been fun.
Well, let's I mean, not to get too far into the story, but a little bit. The character Nolan, there was points in it where it was taking me back to my experience at the Men's Awakening retreat. It's
Hmm.
set in, like there's a mountain cabin feel to it.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so you might bounce, I don't know if you want to bounce back and forth to to the Men's Awakening and what
Mm,
guys could expect there, but certainly took me back to that. And
mm,
but one thing I would love for you to speak to is the spiritual um pieces of it. Like
mhm,
there's some really stuff you don't see very often. It's certainly, again, reminded me of the shack, and just being like,
mhm.
okay, this is really not a normal this is not a normal,
Right.
story.
Yeah.
There's stuff going on here that you don't normally hear, and
Mm,
and that was what I thought made it particularly powerful.
mm.
It almost doesn't even apologize for, just puts it right out there, like, hey, there's some stuff happening that's not going to happen in your normal life, maybe.
Yeah.
So kind of speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, one response was, again, the first chapter gets really gritty, gets really honest. You get to see what Nolan's go through and some of his secrets and addictions that he's kind of going through. And some of the comments have been like, "Man, you really went for the jugular, you really went for the heart." And
Mm,
again, went for the risk. And that's
yeah.
where we kind of started off the story. But as far as the spiritual elements, again, the one of the reasons why I think the Shack is so powerful, this book's so powerful, is just to create an allegory form of God, right? We want to, I mean, I know,
Mhm,
but I don't know about you, but like, I long to see him, right? I long to be
mhm,
with him. I long to walk with him, and to um and he does with myself. But we kind of put this in more of a story form where he is able to talk to Nolan. He is able to speak into his life. And everything
mhm,
I try to do was based on scripture. So again, you could go through a nonfiction book. Here's the scripture. Here's how it applies to your life. Instead of going that direction, we create a story and saying, God was speaking into Nolan's life from a
mhm,
biblical point of view, right?
mhm, mhm,
But that's what it was, and I wanted to really just build that intimacy with God, right? Because I think that's
mhm.
what He longs for us.
Yeah.
Is just to have His sons and daughters, and just to be intimate, to be with us. So I wanted to capture that. So
Mhm,
Papa, obviously in the book, is God. Joshua is Christ. There's obviously some similarities of he as a savior. Um, he has power just like God does. So you'll see some of that. His relationship, this brotherhood with
mhm,
Christ, right?
mhm,
And then we have Ma, which is more of a mother-like figure, the comforter, the
mhm,
peace giver. She's more like that Holy Spirit that is so comforting, that's so gentle, that just brings peace over us as a spirit. So those are some of the pieces that the story brings.
mhm,
And one of the other pieces I think that you see Nolan, really just you see him suffering,
mm,
um, and you really get to the insides of just his suffering, his pain, and on the other side of that is greatness, and
mm,
we just get to kind of have that picture. We get to see him struggle with some of these things that men struggle with, right?
mhm,
We get to have him struggle with. He wants success so bad that he'll sacrifice everything to achieve it. Uh,
mm,
Wealth, he has always wanted it, and he has spent his life sacrificing his family and his health and everything to achieve that. So there's
mhm,
some of the things we see him kind of struggling with. And another character that I'll point out was a very strong character, which this was one of the most interesting characters too of the book, was Bones, which is obviously Satan. Um,
mm,
which that was just a really interesting character. Like if
mm,
I could have a character represent, and my coach, I had a writing coach help me with this, but she said if he had a famous actor that could represent Bones, who would it be? And I was like, I don't know, probably like a Billy Bob Thornton type of guy, just greasy hair, just that's kind of the character of Bones. But he was a really strong character. And he just kept coming after Nolan, just coming
mm.
after, trying to
Wow.
honestly destroy him, trying to entice him with
Mhm,
pleasure and all these things that he could offer him with the world. But his
mhm.
goal, which we could see, was really to destroy his life.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a fun character to write as well.
Yeah. This book is emotional. There's I don't want to like do a, what do you call it? A spoiler alert. But it has a really cool ending. Um, and I don't want to say too much about it because it's such a cool ending, but yeah, you're kind of like at the end, there's a little bit of uncertainty, and you're like, oh wow, that's cool.
Mm. And I think, really, if you read the Bible, I mean, God, he speaks into people's minds through their imaginations, through their dreams, right? I mean, many
Mm-hmm.
times that is how he speaks to us. So again, the book has that imagination feeling, a
Right.
dream-like feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, right? You think of, again, the Narnia, the opening
Mm-hmm.
up, the dream-like feel, and that's just the feel, and I think God can definitely use that and speak into that. So definitely
Yeah.
some surprises with it. Very emotional book for me, honestly, as well. I mean, I found myself getting really emotional,
Mm-hmm.
going through the whole process and writing it. There was a lot of my own life in this particular book, so I had to revisit certain things in my life.
Mm.
Now, again, I'll say that I am not Nolan. This is not exactly my life, and it's not my
Right. We can
experience,
all
but
relate to Nolan. Yeah.
yeah, but a lot of different similarities when you read it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Midwest boy.
Mm-hmm.
You think about small town atmosphere, basketball was in there, my dad was in there, just things
Mm-hmm.
like that. So
Mm-hmm.
but it was a very emotional book, honestly, for me to
Sure.
write as well.
I can imagine. So let's see. So I the okay, so here's where I want to go next. You personally are, as I've got to know you and I consider you a dear friend, somebody that I will stay close to as long as I'm able, for the rest of my life. And One thing I kind of know about you, or that I perceive about you, and this is kind of part of my gifting, is I have a pretty good knack for seeing into people, their gifts, their, helping them kind of, take that, leverage it, and build a life and business around it. That's sort of what I do,
Hmm.
for a living. So I feel like I have a little bit of like skill or gifting in this, but you have this amazing gift that I haven't, um it's so rare. I don't know, I maybe know maybe another one or two people like this, but you're this amazing different
You always
level.
prop me up. You,
I mean,
you always
it's real. But here's what I'll get to, is it's your amazing ability, and it's not your only thing, but this is what always blows me away. Like, you just can create these. And I can't even tell anybody. I can't tell anybody how you do it, but you do it over and over again. You create these situations where you make something magical happen. So the book
Mm,
does this.
mm,
You have this experience by reading the book, going to, being, I've been on conference calls with you, and but the men's awakening, in Utah, that I went to last year, um, every session that you ran, there's multiple sessions during that weekend, whether you were running it or you like said, okay, go do this thing. I have had experiences at that men's awakening, weekend, different than anything else in my life. And I'm
mm.
like, and I feel like I've had some stuff, right? I've been, around a spiritual journey, and like, I'm not new to this world, but
Mhm,
somehow you made these, you created the atmosphere and the environment to nurture a God experience, a connection
mm,
experience. And the book talks about, a dream, and you're like, was it a dream? I don't know. It
mm,
feels like a dream, but
mhm.
I think it was real. I mean, I felt like that going to the men's awakening retreat. Like, what the heck? And I know I've shared with you, and I've shared with
Yeah.
some close friends of mine. Like, I had this really weird experience with a blue jay and a squirrel. I mean, what the heck is going on? I don't want to
Right.
scare anybody away from the men's retreat, but some different stuff happened. We weren't eating
Yeah.
mushrooms or anything, so don't worry. But yeah, you do something
Wasn't that
very,
type.
yeah, very amazing. So all that to basically give you the floor to, talk about the men's awakening, like,
Mm,
or maybe you can, maybe you can shed some light on, like, is it just like the Holy Spirit flowing through you and you're like not even sure how it's happening either? Or do you have some kind of method to how you do this?
I, I think it's but probably a little bit mixture of both. I obviously, I pray through different things. I mean, with the book, for example, I mean, some of my most intimate times with the Father, with God, was writing this book. Waking up 5 o'clock in the morning, spending my quiet time, and then just praying. What words do you want me to lay out? Um, and sometimes it was 500 words of not greatness, and sometimes he helped me lay out just what he wanted to say. And so I think a lot of it has been the spirit. I've been taking things slow. It might not look like it because, again, running a business, doing Iron Deep community, writing the book, all this stuff has taken a while. Again, the book was 18, 20 months of writing the Iron Deep. And we've been thinking about this for 2-3 years. We probably thought about it for a whole year before we actually put on our very first event. We whatever we do, I just wanted to be extremely intentional. And if that's putting on less, but making it more intentional and more impactful, that's just what I want to do. I was just on another podcast, and I think most people, again, in our culture, we're going wide. We're trying to get as many likes and as many followers and as many people signed up for our events. And we're trying to fill the stage, and we're trying to get on the big stage and fill the arena and have this huge event. You've been to some of them, right? And then it's fine. Then it's fine. Tony Robbins and that's great. It's great stuff. I think it can be impactful. We just want to go deep. So like I would much rather do an event at a home. Let's get comfortable. Let's take our shoes off. Let's get radically honest with each other. Let's get real. And let's just build this brotherhood. I want to know you. I want to know about Scott Landis. I want to know what he's all about. And I want to be able to impact Scott Landis. And you can only really do that in very intentionally with just a few people. So I think sometimes you got to make this choice. You can go wide and you can have thousands or millions of followers. We've decided, hey, let's go deeper. Let's only have 25 guys at this particular event, and let's really be intentional with these guys. And let's really just go deep and impact them. I look at Christ and the disciples. He walked around with 12 guys, very brotherhood like, doing life together. That's really what I desire. That's what I want. And I have to be mindful of that because sometimes my flesh is, man, it'd be cool to talk in front of 1,000 people or do that stage but I have to really just remind myself we want to be really intentional with the people. I think that God maybe gifted me with, I love to be hospitable. I love to serve people. I love to make you feel, special. I want to make you feel unique. So everything that we do, I have that in mind. How can we help them know that they're not just a number, that they are a son, that they're loved, that I do truly want them as a brother. It's not what they can do for me at the end of the day. And it's really, and I think that's just really the biblical Christ-like way. I try to, pray through, like, how can I just be all about Scott? How can I be all about this person, even if it doesn't benefit me? And how can I even put them before myself? How can I celebrate their success more than my own success? And I have to pray through that because my wicked flesh, he likes Brett, but the spirit, man, they want me to put other people first. They want me to actually celebrate your success more than my own. So praying through that, I think helps with all of that. So I think it's the spirit. I think it's just, I think men, we're not very often in that type of environment and that type of vulnerability and that type of brotherhood. So we create that type of space. We make them feel served, make them feel, wanted and desired, like they're there for a purpose. And we just try to really build the environment. I think a lot of it's just the environment to encounter God in an amazing way. He's the one that comes. He's the one that shows up. We just try to create that space of that unplugged, undistracted environment just to let it happen. But at the end of the day, the Spirit's the one that does the work. So hopefully I answered your question. I was long-winded, but
Yeah, no, that's good. And as you're talking, I mean, I think the humility that you're saying you can get caught in the Brett story, but the humility is definitely, what you're after and what you're embracing. And I think that's a major component of it. I remember you just being like, okay, so here's this really successful businessman, and here's the leader of this retreat. And, I think there's some people there that maybe barely met you. And you're just like telling it like it is, like, here's my big old mess. And,
right.
and it wasn't like, oh, here's all the things you need to do to be successful like me. There was like none of that. It was like, here's how I'm totally fallen short since I was basically a teenager. Here's my story. And then you had other, very successful people with the same heart and remove the mask. Like there was like such a sense of, oh boy, it's real, it's authentic. There's no need for a mask here. And I think that might open up the environment for guys in the attendance, and breaking into small groups. Like it's like, well, I guess we're getting real.
I guess
like
we're
nobody
going there.
has to come with this this mask or this sense of, I've got it all together. And I think that's something you do amazing that I guess I haven't experienced in a lot of other places. And then that does create the space for like, okay, if this leader of this conference isn't, the big guru, then who is? Well, the answer is God, right? You're just
amen.
like, you're leaving the room for God, like as opposed to a Tony Robbins event where he essentially, I have nothing against Tony Robbins. He's got a great thing going. But he's essentially the guy. He's what we would say in this context is God. He's the God of that space. He's the king of that space, at least for sure. And where you go to a Iron Deep thing, and it's clear who the king is, and it's not the people running. They're just creating an environment for that. Does that resonate with you?
It does, yeah. And I think the other thing that I love to do, and I try to do this more often, is that I think that sometimes we have gotten it wrong, that I think the church has even gotten it wrong.
Yes.
Is, again, we're listening to one voice, one person, one preacher. They're giving the message week after week after week. And we go, we listen, we consume their message, whatever we can get out of it. Did it benefit me? Did it not? I take it home. Maybe I'll use it. Maybe I won't. And we hear the same person. So I think with Iron Deep is again, it's more about more people, more voices. We're all the body. So you definitely don't go to our event and you hear Brett up there all the time. I think I gave some of my insights, some of my experiences, but I'm wanting other people to come in. I want other people to share. I mean, Scott, you got your own experience. You got your own life. I can learn more from you. And then this other guy maybe sharing his experience or what he does instead of just one person always giving the same message, like the Tony Robbins, for example, right? So that I think, we can all use our gifts and voices. That I think is really, really powerful. I think the other thing that I think is powerful about Iron Deep versus maybe like even a church type of retreat or is, again, typically maybe you have a vocational pastor, which they're very talented. They get paid to do that particular job. And this is just guys from the marketplace. We're leaders, we're CEOs from the marketplace. We're not getting paid to do this. For example, we're just kind of sharing what God's doing in our life. And I just think it's something impactful and powerful, just to come along to like-minded brothers and just sharing in that way. So again, more voices. You hear a lot of different experiences, a lot of different people sharing, and we do get raw. It's radically honest. It's truthful. But obviously at the end of the day, we're looking to grow. So, but we first have to be honest. Like if we're not honest with ourselves, or if we're not truthful, then we're not going to be able to grow. So really it's like, here's who I am. I'm going to come as I am. This is who I am. And now I can grow. Now I can get close to God. Now, if I believe he still loves me with me, this is who I am. And I believe these other brothers, they're still going to like me, but even they know all my stuff now let's move forward together. Now let's grow. Let's make me more of the man that God desires me to be. And that's where we start. So
yeah, when you when you bring up church, it's a powerful point. And maybe that's why I'm so blown away by what you do. You essentially have created a body of Christ with men, and but and you've done it very similar to the church model, but you're not. I mean, everybody knows that you're running it. You're like making it happen, but you're not like the pastor of a church that you mentioned is one voice constantly like giving out the information. And what if churches did that though? That'd be crazy. That would be so radical.
Well, I know, and I don't know where we got away from it all. I mean, honestly, that's the early church, right? People sharing their own stories, their own experiences, going out and sharing. And for some reason, we've gotten to, hey, let's meet in a building. Let's don't talk to anybody else. Let's sit side by side, arm to arm, shoulder to shoulder. Let's listen to a message and then head out for lunch. And that's just the way it is. And I don't know why, but I'm like, man, if I think it should be, let's hear different voices. I think messages are fine. But I think, again, can we have more interaction? Can we sit face to face? Can we share? Can we grow together? And really that is basically what it is. I guess somebody knocking on my door, by the way, but sorry.
Are you good or you need to get it?
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Hey, baby.
It's a family show.
Okay, hold on just a second, okay? All right, hey, Scott, I'll be right back. Just give me 1 minute.
Okay, no worries.
Sorry, Scott, my wife just left, so my daughter, she didn't have school today, so she's here.
No worries.
Sorry about that, guys.
Hi. That's what it's like when you're a married entrepreneur with kids at home.
That's
what we do.
That's right. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Gotta and it's a blessing to be able to do that. So how is she is she good?
She's good. Yep, she is good to go. So
cool. Awesome. Okay, so where we left off, we're wrapping up. We're about out of time, but I want to kind of end on this idea, like this aspirational idea for the body of Christ, for the church, of the God of the Bible, the American church, like however you want to describe that. But I think you have a model that, like you said, is very much, okay, let me put it this way. Some of us have had experiences with church where we became disenfranchised, got maybe a little too close to leadership, and maybe even church organization and church politics, and stuff happens, right? This is a very human problem that happens in any institution, in any organization. And then we think, well, the church, has problems because there's humans in it. Of course, it's going to have some problems, right? But I think what you do puts a finger on what might be a solution for those that are brave enough to do it, which is, that's a big question. But here's my conclusion after being through some of that experience myself. Finding more of a connection to the body of Christ, to an Acts, brand new church in Acts experience outside of a church institution. This is my thing. Human beings will always let you down. If you think that they're going to be in place of what can only be God's place.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we do. And that's the mistake we make in church is we have this pastor or a president or, an author, like whatever it is, whoever you make is your, like, oh, that's my guy. Like, I'm such a fan of that guy, that person. That person's who I'll follow. Well, we're designed to do that, right? But we need to remember that that's just a human like us. That guy or that girl is just like us. They're a flawed human being like us. And we do need to follow someone. And that's what you do. You make a way for that experience to actually follow the one that won't disappoint. And that's why it's so powerful. So I'm just processing out loud what I'm kind of taking away from our conversation today. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. No, so I totally agree. And, we see it time and time again, celebrity types of pastors, very gifted individuals, gifted at communication, very gifted. And I'll tell you, you can be extremely gifted at communication and put on just an amazing message and not even have a relationship with Christ at the end of the day. Like you can really do that. You can. I'll raise my hand where so we launched Iron Deep and we've had some amazing events and it's been great. But by me doing that, so I'll just kind of talk my personal life, by me doing that and putting on those type of events as maybe a facilitator, a leader of a spiritual awakening event, your all's thoughts is probably this guy's relationship with God is probably getting stronger and stronger and more intimate and stronger at the end of the day. And then through the whole journey, I can see exactly how men, especially in ministry, lose themselves with the busyness, the chaos. I have to put on another message. I have to put on another event. I'm going to neglect my own relationship with God and I become lost. And I can still communicate. I can still put on a great message. And I can become lost. And I can see how that can happen. So then we put these guys on this pedestal and we start following them just because they're gifted communicators. And I'm not saying that's everybody, but and so another thing with that is, again, I just think that we've set up in Western culture just this church, this arena where, again, we go listen and we just become fans in the stands. We're fans. We go, we listen, and we never play the game. We never get into the game. We don't go home. We don't do anything about it. We don't spend any quiet time with God. We don't really pray to him. We don't build that relationship. And then we go and we watch another game the next Sunday and we're fans again. And that's just how we've done this whole thing. So I know for me, it's not about the content and hearing the message. It's about the encounter. So whenever we do our events, in my mind, I'm even thinking like, how can I do less content and more encounter? How can I speak less? Because you can go on YouTube right now and you can hear way better sermons or messages or podcasts than I could ever do or you could do, Scott. I mean, the best of the best is out there already, right? You can go to YouTube and watch the content right now, but you can't go to YouTube and encounter the Father. Like you can't do that. So when we put on events, it's not about the content, it's about the encounter. We have content, but it needs to be linked with the encounter with him and each other. So hopefully that answers your question.
That's the perfect answer. And I think that speaks well to the book as well. And definitely a message that I'm really appreciating on a personal level. With my mastermind groups, I've been going through transforming how they what they deliver and what they do. And one of the things I've realized is, guys, business owners, you said it just perfectly. Like, the information's already out there. I'm not going to give them any information that they don't already have, or take them through the process they probably have already experienced. It's they need the experience of actually doing it. And so that's what I've done with my mastermind groups, is it's just like, show up. If you can just show up, if you can commit to showing up, we're going to help you take what you already know what to do and apply it, and make the business and the life that creates lasting freedom and impact, so you can fulfill the purpose that you have on the planet. And I like, if I can add encounter to it, that's great. I think, that's more Iron Deep's lane, to add the encounter. And that's why I will always recommend people that are looking for that to go to an Iron Deep retreat. Definitely to get the book, Secret War Within. What's next, Brett? Like, what's next for retreats? Like, what do you want people to do to take some action?
Yeah, definitely. Well, we have our website, irondeep.com, and you can pretty much get everything that we're doing on there. So the book's on there. If you want to, get the book, it'll take you to link to Amazon. That's the best place. It is on the other channels, but Amazon's the best place. How you can help us really grow the book: obviously buy the book, leave a review. Just, you've done, Scott. So that's the best way to help us with the book. Our events are on there. We're planning out right now 2024. Again, I've been taking things slow, trying different things. Typically we've had these 3-day men's intensive events. We had one in Utah in the Rocky Mountains. We had one in Northern Georgia. Then we just had, about a month ago, a day event here in Indiana. So we're trying some things out like that. The ultimate goal with Iron Deep is, we'll have some of these events, we'll have some of these encounters, but then just to build that community of smaller groups. A facilitator with 12 guys is really what we're looking for. I'm more of an in-person facilitator. Again, I think a lot of it has to do with encounter. So most of our events are going to be in person. We do some virtual to bridge the gap, but we're really looking for the in-person type of events. So you can get those on irondeep.com. We also have the podcast. So we do other content as well, Iron Deep podcast. And check it all out at irondeep.com.
Fantastic. Yeah. And get the book, The Secret War Within. And, if you've been listening to this and you hear Brett's heart, and you know that this is something that's going to change lives, give it a review, because that helps. I think if I know what I've heard from you and other authors, that helps more than anything. Get those 5-star review, give it the review, give it the number, give it the 5, but don't stop there. Write something in it. And I think algorithm wise, it has to be a certain number of characters or so. So give it a honest review, and that's going to help spread this message and this encounter, this experience, as I've called it, that I think it has the power to affect lives and really change the world. I mean, that's what I always want to have on this podcast, on the Awaken Life podcast, is like, what is the things that are going to make an impact on this world? Because this world needs some help. Yeah. And obviously Brett Snodgrass is one of those people that can help drive that forward. So get the book, Secret War Within, irondeep.com, get it on Amazon, give it a review. Brett, thanks for being on the show. Last word to you. What do you got?
Yeah, thanks, Scott. I love what you're doing. I just think we need to all just join in together. There can never be too many people or men trying to get us together to sharpen lives, to grow. And I just appreciate you having me on the show. I love what you're doing. I encourage all to get involved with Scott's mastermind groups. I've been a part of a couple different groups, so I appreciate everything you're doing, Scott. And thanks for having me on the podcast today.
Thanks so much, Brett. Thanks for listening to the Trimetric Roadmap, powered by Business Freedom Advisors. I've been your host, Scott Landis. If you're growing a business but something still feels off, you're not alone. That's exactly why we created the Trimetric Quiz. It's not a personality test, it's a powerful diagnostic tool that shows you where you're in alignment and where things may be silently slipping off track across your business, life, and leadership. It only takes a few minutes, and the clarity you'll gain is a game changer. Go to trimetricquiz.com to take the quiz now before the cost of staying stuck gets any higher. Until next time, stay focused, stay aligned, and keep building a business that truly supports your life.